Northwest demands lion's share of revenue allocation to states, local government areas. Welcome to the news and please subscribe to our channel. RMAFC explain why formula has not been reviewed since 1992. FRC conscious state on rising debt profile reckless loans threatens financial institutions against violating due process in granting loans. Stop using consultants for tax collection, experts tell FG. NYCN rally support for FIRs to tackle tax defaulters. Now the news in detail. 7 states from the Northwest yesterday asked the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission RMAFC to give its lion's share of revenue to state and local governments. They argued that the 2 tiers of government should take 60%, while the federal government takes 40%, pointing out that the state governments are also saddled with funding of security apparatus, which is the sole responsibility of the federal government. The states Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, Jigawa, Kebbi, and Zamfara, in their separate presentation, made the demand during the zonal public hearing on the review of the current allocation formula held in Kaduna. In the current sharing arrangement, the federal government, including special funds, is entitled to 52.68%, while state governments get 26.72%, and local governments receive 20.6%. In its presentation, Katsina called for 35% for state, 25% for local government. The Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Alhaji Farouk Jobi, said the revenue allocation was long overdue and its review is timely because it is getting to 30 years that the allocation was reviewed. Secretary to Kano State Government, Alhaji Usman Olaji, lamented that the federal government was taking too much of the revenue. Federal government should take 41%, state 34%, local government areas 24%, and will need an independent 1% for Kano because it is a mini Nigeria, he said. The Jigawa State Commissioner for Finance and Budget, Alhaji Ibrahim Babangida Umar, proposed 44% for federal, 34% for state, and 22% for local government. Kaduna State Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, Mohammed Shuaibu, said certain percentage be set aside for poverty, insecurity region state, and 13% derivation should remain, but extended to mineral resources. In his keynote address, Host Governor Nasser El-Rufai said the federal government retains the largest chunk of federation resources because it does too much, because it is too stretched and so does little well. Yet, the things that really matter to citizens are the state and the local government functions. For instance, basic and secondary education, primary health care, and agriculture are subnational responsibilities. The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Dr. Hadiza Balarbe, said, with the way things are, many states have to support the federal security agencies deployed within their jurisdictions, despite the fact that security is a federal responsibility. Therefore, the argument of a significant review in favor of state of the vertical revenue allocation formula is compelling. The federal government has to consolidate its focus around security, foreign affairs, and monetary and fiscal policy. It should allow the state and the local government to get more revenues to deliver better governance at the grassroots. The APC True Federalism Committee, which I chaired, had recommended a review of the revenue allocation formula in favor of the states. In my view, this is the most efficient way to adjust the finances of the Federation while transiting to a wider devolution of powers and responsibilities. The progress and development of our country depends on well-functioning states. The revenue allocation formula is critical to that. Chairman of the RMAFC, Elias Mbam, in his remarks explained that revenue allocation was not reviewed for 29 years, contrary to constitutional provisions of every 5 years, because of the socio-economic and political changes in the country. The allocation was last reviewed in 1992. He said the Commission was ready to present a new revenue sharing formula to the President for onward transmission to the National Assembly by December, adding that ongoing consultation and sensitization across the country were aimed at avoiding past pitfalls that made past attempts to review the formula unsuccessful. As you may all be aware, RMAFC, by virtue of paragraph 32B, Part 1 of a third schedule to the 1999 Constitution as amended, is empowered to review from time to time the revenue allocation formula and principles in operation to ensure conformity with changes reality, provided that any revenue formula which had been accepted by an act of the National Assembly shall remain in force for a period of not less than 5 years from the date of commencement of the act. In line with the above constitutional provision and the fact that there had been several socio-economic and political changes in the country since the last review in 1992, the Commission has commenced the process of reviewing the subsisting revenue allocation formula to reflect these changing realities. Accordingly, the Commission has designed processes and guidelines to ensure adequate participation of Nigerians, the RMAFC boss said. Meanwhile, the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, FRC, has raised concern over increasing debt profile of state and looming volatility to the nation's economy. Besides, the Commission has threatened to invoke legal action against commercial banks and other financial institutions already turning themselves into willing tools of fiscal carelessness by granting loans to states without recourse to due process, as outlined in Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007. Chairman of the Commission, Victor Morocco, who issued the warning yesterday during the sensitization workshop on fiscal transparency and accountability in Kano, lamented failure of many state governments to adopt prudent management of their resources. Morocco, who explained that current situation of the nation's economy requires fiscal responsibility from all tiers of government, is worried that some natural authorities had neglected their commitment to the Fiscal Sustainability Plan, FSP. Morocco warned the state government. Morocco explained that Morocco warned the state government who already formed the habit of taking loans, the habit of making loans their first and last consideration for meeting revenue shortfalls, to desist, while urging them to focus more on harvesting their dormant potentials for internally generated revenue, IGR. On this note, we have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of the day.